Reports from beyond the stars. I'm sorry, ma'am. The video is addressed to your sons, Edward and Peter, not to you, the receptionist says as he gets glared down by the woman in front of him. He'd gone through the training to go out on a Dauntless-class vessel, however. He was a far harder nut to break than this spray-tanned woman was capable of, unless she found some kind of leverage on him, but that was unlikely. I am his wife. Former. You were divorced 3 years before the beacon arrived, let alone before he was chosen to lead the first contact mission. The receptionist says evenly. He had dealt with this type before. The type who had everything break their way for so long and had so much praise heaped upon them that they become nothing short of insufferable. Couple that with the midlife crisis she's not so much hitting as outright assaulting, and this woman was going to be a peach. He could tell. Then my children aren't seeing this message. What? Edward the younger protests. Mom, Peter exclaims, and the woman smiles. See? Do you see what you're doing to my sons? How could you? Lady, not only am I entirely aware of your bullshit, but your sons aren't stupid either. All they have to do is walk into the next room to see their father's message to them. You're not allowed in, but they are. The receptionist answers calmly to the thoroughly spoiled woman. Inwardly, he hopes that she does something stupid so he has an excuse to use the taser. It would be the most interesting thing to happen today if she does. Sure, at first the messages were interesting, but after a while they were the same. 3 categories of showing off the new wife, a heartfelt message, or something so censored that it may as well have been static. They are not going in there without me. She tries pushing. You're not going in there at all. He doesn't care. Then they're not going in there. Attempt number 2, electric boogaloo. That's their decision, not yours. The receptionist hints as he steps around his desk to stand right in front of her at ease. Or seemingly at ease, as behind his back his hands are pointing to the room with the projector rather than simply being clasped together. I am their mother. It is my right to book it, he says, and both boys dash into the room. He shuts the door behind them and turns around to body block the former Mrs. Cistern from following. She slaps him and he just grins. If you do that again, I'm legally allowed to use my taser. So please, make my day. Get out of my way, she screams at him. Miss Lawrence, please calm down. The receptionist says, honestly hoping she doesn't. Calm down, calm down. She screeches at him as he wonders what the hell Admiral Cistern ever saw in this woman. A white noise generator kicks off and drowns out the drama happening in the room next to them. Yikes, Edward begins. Yay. Peter confirms before nodding as the message starts. It's Dad. Did he always look that old? Edward asks, and Peter snorts. People grow older. What a concept. Peter sasses, and Edward smacks him in the side as they both sit down. My sons, my boys, while this message is going to be vetted time after time, what's in here is meant for you. Admiral Garfield Cistern says after his image appears on the projection. Things are not as I assumed. I thought many things. Part of me thought I would die and my death would be used as a warning that would keep you both safe. I also humored the idea of a galaxy embroiled in war, one filled with predatory business tactics and so many other options. None of them prepared me for a galaxy of desperate bachelorettes. I was better prepared for a horde of alien horrors attempting to devour me than the horde of alien, Cistern says, before cutting himself off with a slight cough. We both know what he was about to say, Edward says with a grin, and Peter chuckles. Well, suffice to say there is opportunity and enough stability for there to be other arrangements. Other arrangements? Peter asks. I plan to make things easier for people to leave cruel space. Easy enough that those without training can join us here in the stars. We need more than just military men out here. Engineers, scientists, and artists. Our children. You two. I want you both out here with me. But the way is not ready yet, and it won't be for a long time. When it is ready, when the way is clear, I want you both to join me. I'll be building up the resources and technology to make it happen. It will be years, though. Years where things change, where things move and alter. What I want you both to understand is that no matter what happens, no matter what you hear, and no matter what I have to do to make sure humanity as a whole gets the stars as their own, you are my sons and I love you both. I want the best for you both. And until the way is clear what's best for you both is to stay on Earth. Both Edward and Peter looked to each other before turning back to the recording. I'm sorry I wasn't the best father. I was too often too caught up in my work and trying to live up to the legend of the perfect admiral, the man with the unfailing plans. Admiral Cistern says, before seemingly deflating before taking a breath. Right now, those plans are all about making it as easy as possible for people to leave and return to Earth. By the time I'm done, you can visit me whenever you want. Yeah, right. How's he gonna do that? Edward scoffs. Peter just shrugs before pointing to the movie. He might tell us. Unfortunately, I can't tell you, Admiral Cistern says, and Edward gives Peter a mocking look. Not because I don't have a plan, but because it's in its early stages and some idiot might try something if this message is intercepted. And in a galaxy this big, there's always more idiots than you think. Conspiracy after conspiracy unfolds. The laws are strange and archaic, and the mechanisms to change them are slow and rusted as if covered in tar. Corruption, stupidity, just plain laziness and other such things. Needless to say, in order to get anything done, I'm going to have to be a little forceful and audacious. Hopefully, it doesn't reflect badly on you two, but if it keeps you safe, feel free to denounce and slander me without end. Drop my name if you have to. This galaxy is corrupt and stupid. It's going to take a lot to get you both out here, and not everyone on Earth will understand. This is declassified? It sounds almost like a threat, Peter remarks with a frown as he considers things. I know it sounds bad, but I honestly can't say anything that doesn't sound like some ominous threat without thousands of different organizations jumping onto things. It took less than 24 hours before there was a massive digital breach of security, and literally invisible spies are trying to sneak into the ship so often that the guards are making sport of how far they can throw them away. Admiral Cistern then shrugs and makes a motion as if he's asking what the hell he can do. I'm sorry, guys. I have to treat this message as if it's going to be intercepted, so the biggest specifics I can give is the broadest overview possible and a few vaguely threatening sounding assurances. It makes sending a heartfelt message to your sons fairly difficult. Thankfully, I know how to work with that to a degree. Even that threat of not everyone on Earth understanding is easily explained by someone in my position flat out being unable to please everyone. Suffice to say, a lot of different people want things that are not only different from one another in this mission, but straight up opposed to each other. Meaning my biggest job is finding that perfect balance so that no one has a reason to really get angry. But that's my problem, not yours. It will not be your problem, it will be mine. So what do we do then? Edward asks. So just sit tight as best as you can, Admiral Cistern says before sighing. It will be years before we can see each other again, and that hurts. It hurts a lot. My sons. I think of you both every day, and nearly every decision I make is run by the thought of you both and how this will affect you. Admiral Cistern looks right into the camera and smiles. I'll see you lads soon, I hope. Soldier on, little troopers. Soldier on. The video ends and the dimmed lights start turning up again. Both Peter and Edward look to each other just before the white noise generator deactivates, and they hear their mother scream at the receptionist outside. Inside the room, Edward sighs as Peter just slumps down into his chair. Mom went crazy. Yay, Peter says. I mean, was she always like this and is only letting it out now? What happened? Edward presses. There was always something, even before she split with Dad. You were too young to notice, but she was getting more and more pissed off before the actual breakup, Peter says sullenly. Oh, well, it's been getting worse and worse. The tan, the new car, throwing out everything she used to wear for leopard print and pink. Is she trying to look like the living embodiment of a midlife crisis? She is the embodiment of a midlife crisis. I hate to be an asshole, and I'll never say it to her face. But Mom's a gold digger, and when she's been going out at night, she's been going to bars. I didn't need to think of Mom as a cougar. She's not. She thought... No, not going to say it. You were really on her side before. That was before I heard more stories and took a few hard looks at ours. Mom's still Mom no matter what she's done, and what she's done is horrible. Dad was not the best husband and isn't the best dad. He still didn't deserve the sheer amount of shit he got, though. How bad was it? Edward asks. If even half the stuff Dad's told me is true, bad, really bad. Not something to talk about on intergalactic snail mail, though. Will you tell me then? I don't know what to believe. I couldn't believe him at the time, and I think that hurt him. I don't know. This is just a messed up situation with Mom going nuts and Dad literally light years away. And you're going to university in a few weeks. Yes. And Mom wants to bring men home with her. Yes. Can I go with you? I don't think so. But you have friends, and if worse comes to worse, you can call the police and tell them there's a stranger in the house and strange noises. I'm not going to call the cops on Mom's booty calls, Edward snaps. And I'm not having any more of this conversation, Peter says, standing up and going for the door. He opens it to see the receptionist step out of the way as their mother stares at them. What was that about calling the police on my booty calls? She asks, and Edward freezes entirely. Mom, when we get home we need to talk. You've been worrying us, and the way you've been acting today is the last straw, Peter says, putting a hand on Edward's shoulder. He's turned you against me somehow. He's on the other side of the galaxy, and he's still turned you against me. Actually, it was more you screaming at this guy and trying to stop us from seeing the recording at all, Edward says. Not now, when we get home, Peter says, forcing Edward out in front of him and setting the pace for leaving the area. Good day, sir. Come on, Mom. Why are we doing this now? You want my help? Here it is. I'll lead the conversation. Just stay out of the crossfire, and in a few weeks I'll be well away from this. Just keep your head down. I still don't get what happened. You'll figure it out, Peter says as their mother comes stomping out of the room behind them. Just tell me, Edward says, and Peter sighs and leans in. When she split with Dad, she did it as his enemy and refused to think well of him. She wanted to do better than him with less effort, but she didn't put anywhere near enough in with her fashion lines. Now he's in a ridiculously influential and wealthy position and likely beating off supermodel-level women with a stick. She's pissed, Peter whispers to Edward. Oh, wait, why is she pissed about that? Edward whispers back. I don't know. She just is, Peter hisses. What are you two scheming about now?